It is a Friday morning. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you are doing well. I was kind of looking at what the situation is right now, how things are proceeding with people getting their power back, people getting, um, their situation back to normal. And I just looked into, I was just opening the article right now about after a week of enduring cold temperatures, looks like the weekend may be better. We'll start out with below freezing in the 20s today, but it looks like at least the difference this time around, we aren't going to be getting any ice in our area, so that's good. Some counties further up I 35 and to the east are going to be still be seeing snow and ice. Luckily, we're not going to be getting that. I know that our trees, our plants, and vegetation are, if they weren't covered or whatever, are suffering. Some of the plants, as I walked around in our area, um, we're just looking like beat. You know, trees, banana plants. I saw some citrus trees that were took a beating. So luckily, the weekend looks like it's going to be a little bit better for us. Looking like I think mid 60s, mid 70s for Saturday and Sunday. So that's good, and hopefully, everyone in your family, everyone in your immediate family and extended family was able to survive with as little impact as possible. I know a lot of people in Laredo and in our area were affected by the power outages for 3, 4 days. We had pipes bursting and things like that. If you were fortunate enough to not have that happen to you, give thanks, right? Count your blessings that that everything went well. Looks like we don't see any cold coming in anytime soon, so that's good. Got that to look forward to. One less thing that we need to worry about, and hopefully we'll be able to recover. What's weird about our area is that we'll have these November, December months come by, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and there'll be days that we'll have 80s, 90-degree weather. And for whatever reason this year, well, no, even in previous years, when this time comes around, especially early to mid February, we'll start seeing some sort of, well, that's weird. We'll start seeing some sort of higher temperatures come in, rain, things like that, but just not to the extreme that we got during this time. So hopefully everybody in your life was able to get through it with as little impact as possible, and we'll see what goes moving forward. We got to do our best to get past whatever we're facing, and I was gonna do an overview of an article that I read, and I can do a quick overview on it because it kind of spoke to the situation that we're facing. And sometimes we face situations, especially unexpected situations, that test us, right? And this article, um, it's called Seven Traits of the Most Resilient People. And I'm going to put the article on the comment section here. And it's by Jim Rohn. It's from 2016, back in April. So it says resilience is the ability to return to the original form after being bent, stretched, or compressed. And if anything, that's what we are going through as a country right now. It's the ability to readily recover from illness, depression, or adversity. It's like, how would you ever handle if you lost everything you had today? What would your next step be? How long would you be depressed and upset and angry? What would it take for you to pull yourself up and start all over again? How resilient are you? And if there's anything about Laredo, it's resilience that I've seen over and over again in my years that I've lived here, born and raised here. It says, could you handle it? Could you learn from all of your disappointments and start all over again? What would it take? And right now, that's what we're dealing with: setbacks, disappointments, and hardships uh, for about a week and a half, right? But nonetheless, it's something that a lot of people had to deal with. And it continues. First, it would take a lot of self discipline, it'll take a lot of positive self talk to muster up the energy to begin again. It would take a lot of concentration, block out the noise and the clutter of all the negative voices trying to get through, as well as the negative voices of others around you. It would take a lot of discipline to balance the fear and anxiety with the knowing that if you did it once, you can do it all over again. Whether your losses had anything to do with you or not, your future successes have everything to do with you. It would take a lot of self reliance to avoid blame. What's happened has happened. You'd need to get on with your life and begin again, pick up the broken pieces, so to speak. If you lost everything tomorrow and were gathering the courage to try again, it would take a lot of self appreciation. You need to know in your heart and mind that you have the skills, the talent, strength to do it one more time. And now, I know this is mainly talking about business or a situation like that, but really it has to do with coming back from any sort of setback we face as humans. It says, cultivating a resilient character turns failure to success. A resilient person won't give up. A resilient person will, in spite of all obstacles and setbacks, keep doing it until we succeed. And these quotes, these characteristics, 7 key characteristics, come from a something called The Resilient Self by author Stephen and Sybil Wolin. And these 7 key characteristics compose resilience. It says, number one, resilience requires insight. You need to develop the ability to ask yourself tough questions and answer honestly. Was I prepared? Did I do everything I need to do when I was facing hardship to make sure that I get past this and try to not miss any step coming back? If you had something to do with your loss, be honest and be responsible for it. If you had nothing to do with your loss, you have to be sure you have your resilience and the insight to do what needs to be done to get back to where you need to get back to, especially if someone depends on you. Number two, resilience is independent. As a resilient person, you can count on yourself to bounce back into life. Yeah, sometimes we need to ask for a hand up, but it takes independence to be able to ask for that help. Asking for help does not make you weak. You realize that sometimes you cannot do it alone, but that realization comes from independence. Number three, all the resilience is independent. It's also tied to others. The more people you are responsible for, the greater your motivation to begin again. The stronger the reason, the stronger the action you're going to take. Number four, resilience calls for initiative. You need to develop the ability to take charge of the situation, take charge of the problem. You need to stand up and do whatever is necessary to get back on course. If you're facing a financial setback, I lost my job, one day to the next. They're like, hey, your position is no longer required. Your position has been eliminated. If you're facing the situation that now you are heavily affected by what happened weather-wise, by what happened with people, panicking about the rumors on gasoline and food, and now you're having trouble finding food, and you have someone to take care of, you have to do whatever is necessary to get back on course. Number five, resilience has an element of creativity. With resilience, you're able to look at a situation and creatively determine the best way out. You are enterprising in your approach towards starting over. Do I need to, my dad was big on this. My dad was a simple man, but he was a very humble man. Very many positive traits, some negative traits, just like all of us. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. We have our good habits. We have our bad habits. And if anything, my dad was like, if I need to put food on the table, and this was after I was raised by a single mom, but my dad would be like, I'll do whatever needs to be done. Same thing with my mom. My mom, the strongest personality, character, drive to make sure that her children had what they needed, even if she went without. She did what needed to be done, and we talked about that. Talked about she'd make, cakes, pies. One time she picked some wildflowers to make a little bouquet with an order. I think it was a pie she made for somebody, and the person loved the flowers so much that my mom said, "Well, She goes, "Can you find more of these?" My mom said, "Absolutely." So her creativity allowed her to open up another area, another way to make income for to keep us fed, to keep light on, to keep water running. And that was not because the power company or the water company, but because we had no money. So that element of creativity, how what really are you facing? Was it a temporary setback? Okay, now let's get back from that, right? If you find yourself in heavier setbacks, heavier situations that require more, then yeah, you definitely have to rely on this element of creativity. That was number five. Number six, a resilient person is humor. You may cry until you start laughing, but a sense of humor is so important when turning your life around. You've got to take your goals seriously. You've got to take yourself seriously, but at times you've also got to be able to laugh at yourself and your situation. Yeah, it's kind of like that black humor that you laugh at the absurdities, or you laugh at the tragedies, or you laugh at the setbacks. I've done it many times in my life. I remember one particular time my mom had gone in to get surgery, and we were all so nervous and really honestly terrified that something would happen to our mom. That nervous laughter, nervous humor bubbled to the surface in all of us, and it it helped us cope. It allowed us to get through that difficult situation. So, absolutely. And number seven, a resilient person has a strong sense of morality. Whatever you do to get back on your feet, make sure it's moral. Make sure that your upcoming success is at the service and not the expense of others' success. If it is yours to keep, must be at the service of others. Again, we're talking about maybe business, right? Or success in your career, but succeeding from coming back, especially if it's a situation where we, as the leaders of our family, man or woman, it doesn't matter, that we feel we failed in some way, shape, or form. Um, we need to remind ourselves that sometimes it's out of our hands. But what is in our hands is how we come back from what we've been dealt with. It says the more obstacles you face and overcome, the more times you falter and get back on track, the more difficulties you struggle with and conquer, the more resiliency you will naturally develop. If you are resilient, there's nothing that can hold you back. I wish you an easy path, if not a sure path, to get back to at least some sense of normalcy, to where your life was prior to whatever you faced this past week, or maybe this past year, like me and many others have had to deal with the pandemic. So it was a pandemic, and then this whole weather thing right now. I wish you a safe return to a sense of normalcy or something better for you and your family and your loved ones. If you've lost someone during this time, I pray for you and for them. If you didn't, give thanks in your prayer, and pray for those who have lost someone. So again, resiliency, the seven traits of the most resilient people. The link is in the comments. Number one, resilience requires insight. Number two, resilience is independent. Number three, although resilience is independent, it also is tied to others. Number four, resilience calls for initiative. Number five, resilience has an element of creativity. Number six, a resilient person has humor. And number seven, a resilient person has a strong sense of morality. Do not give up on your character. Do not lie to yourself that if you're doing something that is not moral, that it's worth it. It's not. Stick to your morals. Stick to the strength, the inner core of strength that you have. Every single moment we're alive is a chance of rebirth. Do not be reborn as someone you're going to regret being in the future. Choose to become a better person. Choose to get through what needs to be gotten through, and become stronger for it. Become better for it. Become a leader for it in your home, in your community, and in your entire life. Rely on that inner core of strength you have inside you. and come out a better person from everything you face, whether it's today, whether it's this past year, this past week, or whatever you may face in the future. I wish you well today. I wish you well every day moving forward for the rest of your life. And I wish you to be a better person every single day that you wake up, that you give thanks for having another opportunity to face another day. Remember, knowledge is power, imagination is king, and intelligence your weapon. Read a good book today, enrich your mind. I hope to be back on Monday at 8 a.m. Hopefully, again, something a little bit back to normal again. Hope you have a good weekend, uneventful, if pleasant weekend, and I hope to see you back here on Monday at 8 a.m. Until then, we'll be talking.